No, it's still fine. It's all right. They'll hear us with the intro music. You know, it is what it is.
Adios, 2018.
What up, 2019?
Sayonara.
New year, new me, Grant.
Won't miss you.
Are you gonna be new? Are you gonna cut your hair in 2019?
Probably not.
No.
Well,
We all want it.
everybody wants it.
Everyone.
I've
talked to a lot of people.
Conversations that you've had with people. Have
I've
you taken
talked
a
to
survey?
a lot of people, and they all want their haircut. Okay.
Trump's like, we'll open the government as soon as Crawford cuts his hair.
No, but really, I mean, like,
I don't know. I've been thinking about cutting my hair solely as a professional move.
oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I just feel like it makes me look. I need to be a bit more authoritative in my professional life, and I think the long hair just makes me less authoritative.
You gotta do the pullback. The people that are listening can't see it, but you gotta get the little man bun going in the back, little knot.
Yeah, but even that,
or the knot on the top.
It's like he has long hair. He's cool, you know. He's
Right.
chill. They're
Well,
right.
Break
The
out the
people that
ruler,
think
break
that.
out the whip, and put it in a little action. You know. Anyway,
Hello, everybody.
what's up?
Welcome back to 20 Somethings Podcast. We are here on episode number. Blah, blah, blah. I never know.
We don't know anymore.
We're just here for the next episode.
Like we said before, that's a good thing though. It's a good thing that we don't know.
Yeah,
we just
we'll
kind of
keep
going with the
going.
flow
We'll
now.
just keep going. We don't have a guest this week. Again, this is the first time I think we've ever done 2 weeks in a row without a guest.
Yeah, it is.
The reason being is that the holidays are a little rough for finding a guest. It's been rough for us just to sit down and do this. I mean, it's Sunday night, and we usually release on Sunday nights.
Right, and we both
So,
just got back from
Just
vacation and
traveling
everything.
and family, and
Yeah.
you know how it is. And yeah, so here we are, and it's the day before New Year's Eve. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about New Year's, although the conversation will probably, go from A to B to C to Z, all over the place.
I hope
and
so.
we'll see how it
I hope it
goes.
doesn't go from A to A.
First off, Keith, let me ask you,
Yes,
just
Grant.
to get the conversation rolling, do
Talk
you
to
have
me.
a New Year's resolution?
Do I have a New Year's resolution? Yeah,
Well, we can start by telling everybody, and this is going to sound like such a ripoff of Joe Rogan, but we are doing a sober January.
We are.
with Mickey, who's another host on SoundCloud.
We are. We're not allowed to indulge in any vices. No vices. For all of January. So that's gonna be a fun
But that's
one.
not really a New Year's resolution because that's
No.
more of like it's only a month-long thing.
It's just like a little challenge. It's just
Yeah.
like a little like fun thing. We plan on hitting the gym a little bit more.
Well,
and
I'm actually really curious to see how my brain functions without any intoxication. Not that I partake in intoxication like that often, but just in general, I don't think I've been completely clean off anything.
Right.
I did the same thing last year, so it's been a year since I've done it. Yeah.
The last time, well, actually, I mean, clean off anything. No, it's been a while. It's been a while. 'Cause I was gonna say September, but no, I'm still having a glass of wine here, a glass of wine there, which is
right. This is
which is
like
whatever. But this
completely
is a
clean.
full
You know
stop.
what was interesting is when I was originally talking to Mickey about it, he was like, "Are you gonna stop drinking caffeine?" I was like, "No," but like it's a very good point.
Yeah, I
caffeine
mean,
is just as much as
I don't know if-
a addict sort of thing, dude. I'm so addicted to it; it's crazy.
I don't know if I could do it, honestly. Like when I
couldn't.
wake up in the morning, my first thought is, Jesus, get me to the coffee
I
machine.
know.
I
How crazy
need a
is that?
coffee.
How crazy is that?
Well, it's like, especially now in the winter, like in the summer, I'm okay. But in the winter, like I wake up and I'm fucking freezing. And I
That's
just
true.
like really want to coddle a nice cup
I don't know how
of
much
warm
it has
coffee.
to do with the caffeine. So like when smokers quit smoking, they're addicted to like the
motion.
of doing something with their fingers. I think it's the same thing for me in the morning because
Just-
I don't think the caffeine does that much for me. Like I don't think it's enough caffeine to really give me like a kick. I think it's more so like going to the coffee machine and making my coffee.
It's
And,
become part of your routine.
yeah.
So you
right,
gotta,
it's
like-
been part of my routine for years.
So
and
maybe-
years and years.
Maybe, with the coffee thing in terms of like, I guess New Year's resolutions, maybe the first step is to, and because I do the same thing, right? It's like the first thing I do when I wake up. Maybe the first thing to do is to replace that quote bad habit. It's not really a bad habit to have a cup of coffee in the
I have
morning.
zero intentions of changing my caffeine habit.
Yeah.
I have zero intentions of doing that. I have a real
Shuts it
problem.
down.
I have a real problem.
No, but
Yeah.
I mean, but honestly, like maybe I'll try and drink less caffeine, and instead, when I first wake up, try to implement a good habit. So maybe because I've been
Right, that
I've
seems like
been
it's the best way
screwing
to go
up.
about it.
Yeah, I've been screwing up my meditation lately. So maybe the best thing for me to do is to, instead of first thing when I wake up, look to go to my cup of coffee, say, no, you got to meditate for 10 minutes first, and then you can go have a cup of coffee.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Just implement a new good habit, I guess.
I did get better. I will say 2018 was a year that I did get my coffee habit under control. If we're going to New Year's, let's reflect on the past year. 2018 was a year that I decided I'm not going to drink coffee past 3 p.m. And I've been pretty good at that because I used to just kind of drink coffee throughout the day, and I still drink like 5 or 6 cups of coffee a day, but it usually happens before 3 p.m. And I was able to cut myself off of that.
Dude, that's so much caffeine before 3 p.m. Holy hell. That's crazy.
Yeah, but you know what, man?
Your tolerance is so high to it.
I know, because my first job was working in a coffee shop. My very first job, I think I was 12 or 13, and I was working at a place called Goshen Gourmet in my hometown. And on the weekends, I'd have to go in at like 5 or 6 a.m. and start roasting the coffee. And that's when I first started drinking coffee. It was when I was like 12 or 13, and it would be, none of my friends would be up, and I was tired.
That's when I first started drinking too. It was around like 13, 14 years old.
So, it's a decade of a habit. It's been 10 years since I've been drinking coffee on the regular.
Do you notice any changes in your the way you take your coffee over the past decade?
Yeah, I don't like it so sweet anymore. When you're a kid, you like it sweeter.
Yep.
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I've really consciously noticed that about myself recently. When I was a kid, when I first started drinking coffee, I can tell you what I got. It was from Dunkin'. It was a medium iced French vanilla with milk and 2 sugars.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah.
And the French vanilla is a sweetener too, so you gotta think that's probably like 3 or 4 sugars technically. Now I'm like, I want a medium iced coffee with like a little bit of milk, no sugar.
No, usually my go-to, which is what I make at home, is just black coffee with a little bit of half and half, a little bit. I don't put any sugar or anything in it.
It's exactly what I do as well. So it tastes better that way.
If I'm on the go, I'll do the same thing. I value the taste of the coffee itself, and the sugar, you're just tasting sugar. You're just tasting sweetness.
It doesn't
it takes away from the coffee, I think.
And also early in the morning, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for candy.
No, there's something about the bitterness of a black coffee that wakes you up.
Yeah, it kind of jolts you awake. Yeah. And that's another thing too, I guess that would be a New Year's resolution for me, is to cut down on the sugar.
Yeah.
Cut down on the sugar. Not that I over. No, I wouldn't say so. I'll have the occasional soda here and there, although I've been much better about that recently in the past 3 or 4 months. I haven't really had soda at all. I've had a can here, a bottle here.
That's a pretty common one. A pretty common one's no more soda.
Yeah.
A lot of people will shout that one out.
Well, when I've talked about it on here before, when you drink it since you were, 9, 10 years old, it's a horrible habit to try and kick. Horrible habit. And then you got delis right down the street that make it all the worse.
Yeah. I've never had to. I can't really empathize with that because it's never really been a thing. But I see how it's a thing with you, and I see how it's a thing with other people too. A lot of people. I work with people that it's every lunch they have a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I had a Diet Coke. We're drinking some ginger ale right now. Ginger ale is about the closest I'll get to soda though.
Mm-hmm. I've been doing a lot of that recently.
I never crave a soda ever.
Yeah. I used to a lot more than when I was a kid, man, I swear to God, I would drink I would have a soda when I got home from school, and then I would have a soda a few hours later probably. It would be 2 to 3 a day sometimes.
Really?
At the peak of it. Yeah, at the peak of it. Not my entire childhood, but maybe for 6 months.
Wow.
2 to 3 a day. Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible shit.
Yeah.
But that's how I grew up. Fucking whatever. Gotta kick.
It really fucked you up.
Yeah, man. It's really put me in a way.
Yeah. No, that's a good one though. Less sugar. That's not really something I pay attention to. My sugar intake at all.
Or just eating healthier, I think, mainly.
Dude, the past few months, because of how busy I've been, we have everything going on with Sound Pollination, which has been great, and it's taking off and it's doing really well. But I also have my day job, and I'm in school, and all of that compounding on top of
you've been very busy.
It's been really difficult for me to stay on a healthy eating, although I feel like it balances out because I'm so busy that I'll just make the most bland meal ever and just scarf it down. So what's quick? I'll just cook up a turkey burger, cook some broccoli and some brown rice, done. And
I've noticed too
half of the week. But then the other half of the week, I might order out and get something. So it's balancing itself out.
But I've noticed that you've this past semester, I guess, you've gotten much more into meal prepping, which I did a couple years ago when I was doing the 2 jobs and was like all over the place.
You have to. That's how I do my lunches every week. I have to cook them at least a day or two in advance.
Right. You cook double the amount, and then you take half of it and you put it in a container for lunch the next day or whatever, and it kind of saves you. I remember being like that, man. That is miserable. If you can find a good recipe, like something that will last nicely, it's good.
Yeah.
But it takes you a little bit to figure out, like, okay, what tastes good the next day.
What I was doing, I wasn't even doing like a meal prep. I would just make extra of whatever I was making.
Right.
So I would make extra for like 2 or 3 days.
Right.
And to be honest, it saved me a lot of money and a lot of time. It really did.
Sorry, I'm drinking my gin. We're gin and ginger. We're drinking gin to celebrate the new year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I was meal prepping, it was like I would first try and do like, I would try and cook like elaborate dinners and then save it for the next day, and it always tasted like shit. You do something like chili, you do something like soup, you're gonna have a much better time. You just or like a turkey burger, something that's simple, like a 1 ingredient sort of thing.
Yeah, it's been fine.
It's so much easier.
It really is fine. Like,
yeah.
And it sucks though, not having a lot of time, because I like cooking. I really, really like cooking. It's actually like sort of like a meditation for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like making elaborate dishes, and I like making new dishes that I've never made before. That's how I got really into, last year I was cooking a lot of curries and a lot of like Asian dishes, which is fun because you get to fuck around with all the spices.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're busy, you don't have time for that. Like at the end of my days this semester, there's no way in hell I would come home and be like, all right, let me look up a recipe.
Right.
Like,
yeah, no. I mean, not gonna happen. We were in school, we used to do that shit. And as soon as I started like working a lot, it was like, all right, it's going to be protein, carb, veggie, and we're good.
So I don't know what my diet will be like for the new year. I imagine if I'm going to be real, which I think that's what a lot of people need to do with themselves with the new year, is sort of be as realistic with yourself as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go into the new year saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, it's going to be great. Just be realistic.
Right.
And realistic to me seems like small steps or just like acceptances.
Right.
So like me accepting that, like, to be completely honest, 2019 probably isn't the year that my diet is going to change. Granted, my diet's not one that really needs to drastically change, so it's not high up on my priority list of like alterations.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to sit here and say like, yep, 2019's the year that I'm going to get that in order. I think that's why a lot of people end up getting discouraged with the New Year's, because they set their standards far too high with what they want to do. They just dive headfirst into it, and it's too much.
But I think you're right, and I think they dive headfirst into the end goal, and they don't look at like the little ladder rungs that are along the way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like they're like, I want to change my diet. Okay, that's a very vague statement.
Right.
Like that's a general thing.
What do you want to do with your diet? Your diet's
do you want to cut carbs? Do you want to cut sugar? Is it the fat
also,
that's the problem?
Why do you want to change your diet? Because that's an entirely different thing. Like there are people that change their diet because, I'm going to be working out, so I need more protein. Mm-hmm. So I need to have a higher protein diet. Or are you changing your diet solely to lose weight? Because you're not going to be working out. You want your diet to be the primary source that's going to, result in weight loss.
Right. And even further than that, it's also like, what are you going to change about the diet? Like cut one thing. Okay, I'm going to cut the chocolate. Like it's got to be something small, something tangible, something that you can like think about every day. Mm-hmm. Like as when you go to reach for the chocolate, like, no, I'm not going to do that because that's my goal. Yeah. Not like, my gole for the 2019 is to eat healthier. Well, I can sneak the chocolate,
it's dark chocolate,
Yeah, it's much easier to sneak.
Antioxidants,
right? When you have that lofty goal, it's a lot easier to like sneak your way around it and create little loopholes for yourself.
That's a good point. You have to be really specific.
Yeah,
specific and realistic.
And small goals lead to big goals. I think if you dream too big, it's just and dream too much. Like some people are like, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to get a new job and I'm going to, start this new activity at the gym and I'm going to do this class. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. I think a good way to solve that, is you dive into it. It's like, oh my God, 2018's over. It's 2019. But I don't think a lot of people conceptualize like the new year starting as like a new year. Mm-hmm. I think they see it as like a new month starting. They don't realize that they have a span of 12 months to do whatever they have to do. Mm-hmm. And that's why they hit the ground running. It's a known statistic that gym memberships skyrocket the first week of January. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people's New Year's resolutions are, I'm going to be in better shape. I'm going to lose weight. But you have the whole year. And beyond that, there's no time limit of when you can accomplish these goals. You don't have to get everything done that you want to get done in 2019, and you most definitely don't have to get everything done that you want to get done in January of 2019. Which is why I think a lot of people, I don't think they're thinking like that. I don't think they're thinking like, oh, I'll do this in a month. But I think that's sort of how it pans out. It's like, if I don't get this first month down, how am I going to do the rest of the year?
All of the weight is on January. And it's like...
right. It's like I need to get past January if this is going to turn into a thing.
Right.
Which in some case, you know, that does make a little bit of sense. The problem is I don't think people are realizing that's what they're doing.
And people are also holding off goals until January. It's like, oh, well, I'll start that in the new year. Well, you could start that now.
Right, exactly.
You could...
I mean...
Look at us, Sober January. You know, it's like, you could start that now. You know, you could throw this gin and ginger out the window.
I will say that having a set date for something actually kind of is helpful.
Yeah.
I think that
kind of lets you prepare for it.
If it's because if you're setting a date in the future because you're trying to push something off, no, like that, I can see that becoming problematic. But if you're setting the date in the future as like, that's it,
right?
Like, that's the deadline.
Mm-hmm. I have this amount of time to splurge on whatever I need to do, and then at that point,
it gets you some time to organize some stuff. I can totally see that being helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. But I think that I was just gonna say something before about being realistic and being simple with your goals. I think in order to do that, you need to get yourself out of into the mentality that a year is a lot longer than you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so everybody gets their gym memberships. They're hitting the gym in January 4 times a week. At the end of the month, they're really sore because they've never done that before.
And they don't want to go back
do it anymore.
Yep.
And it's like, that's all right. You don't have to hit the gym 4 times a week. You don't have to beat yourself up so much. Start off the year, don't dive in.
Mm-hmm.
Put a foot in the water first.
Right.
Right. Get
used to the temperature.
Time. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And you see that a lot too. Is like people that really want to get in shape. Like, and good for you. Like, that's awesome. You're trying to make a change, but you got to understand how to pace yourself here. Yeah. Especially with something like the gym. But the gym is real. That's a real big one because
you can focus on, because that is a lot of people's.
Yeah, and you can really screw up your body. Yeah. Like you can really hurt something, especially if you're not used to working out. Like, let's say you haven't gone to the gym in 10 years, and now you're like, oh, I'm that's it. I'm putting my foot down. No more sugar. I'm going to the gym 5 times a week for 2 hours. You're gonna hurt a lot of things by the end of that month. Then you're gonna be discouraged. You're gonna see minimal gains. You're gonna not want to go back to the gym anymore, and so begins the cycle again.
Yeah, I mean, just personal experience. Right now, I didn't run for like the past month because I was busy with finals and teaching my own class and everything like that. And I finally started running this past week, and I messed my foot up because I went right back into running how I was doing it last month, which is I'll go out for like a 7-mile run, and I went out and did that, and the next day I must have pulled a tendon or something in my foot because I wasn't conditioned. You have to condition yourself before you start going, at that capacity.
Well, it kind of goes back to that whole small goal thing. It's like, don't have that lofty goal of 7 miles a day. Have a goal of, okay, I'm going to start with 3. And then like next week I'm going to go up to 4. In a month I'm going to be back at 7. It doesn't even need to be that long.
Listen, check this out. Try this one on for size. You could set a New Year's goal of, let's say your goal is to get into shape. All right, I'm going to go to the gym once a week in January. Then February, twice a week.
Right.
Now you have a whole month just to condition yourself to once a week. That's a very small goal. Going to the gym once a week for an hour. Easy.
Right.
Done.
Anyone can do that.
Now your body's a little bit more conditioned. Your lungs are feeling a little better.
You're starting to like it a little bit.
Yeah. You go 2 days a week. Same deal. And then by the time, May comes around, you got your 5-day a week at the gym. You get your weekends off. And you are a full-fledged,
gym rat.
Right. No, not gym rat, but you're probably in pretty good shape. If you continue doing that, you'll be in good shape. And then it's only May. You got 7 more months in the year to go. It's 7 months after that. After going 5 times a week for 7 months, oh my God, you'll look great.
You look awesome.
2020.
Yeah.
2020, right?
Yeah.
Whew,
yeah.
That's
I know
weird.
that's a scary number.
But wow, what? That's a great plan that I just gave everybody. Seriously.
Wow,
listen.
Grant, bow down. Everyone bow down to Grant.
Listen, I'm not a fitness guru or anything.
I'm no expert,
but check this out. Let me just rerun that. Once a week for January, twice a week for February, 3 times a week for March, 4 times for April, and then 5 times you hit
In May. Yep. In May.
Just do that the rest of the year. You're golden.
Well,
and you
also
probably won't have to go through any of the shitty laying in bed, can't feel my body stage.
Well, you'll give yourself time to learn to like the gym as well. You know,
and you will like it.
And you will like it,
because you won't have that negative stigma of like, man,
there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. You know, it's like it's all positive. It's like, oh, every time you leave that gym that first month of once a week, and you leave the gym, and you're like, hey, you know, that actually really did feel good. You do that 4 times, and now it's like, you know what? I think I can go twice a week.
Yeah.
You know, 4 times that, it's like, shit, I'm loving this.
Right.
I think I'm gonna go 3 times a week. You know,
it's totally realistic because everyone can do an hour at the gym once a week. That is a goal that everybody could do, and just go. You know, do whatever you want. Just go. Just be there. Just go to the gym, and you'll figure it out. Like, do 20 minutes on the treadmill, then just lift light weights for 40 minutes, and you're done. You're done, and then you'll figure it out as the time continues to expand.
Right. You really gotta micromanage the goals.
That's such an easy thing to fall into, though. You know, it's like it's so hard to take things one step at a time.
Yeah,
and I think that New Year's is an excellent example of that, because I think it gets people into trouble. Is that you cannot. It's very difficult for people to work in increments. You just want to rush to the end of the race.
Right.
That's where you want to be.
We want to look like this right away. We want to, we want to have that, we want to be like super good, DJs right away. We don't want to sit through 6 months of classes to do it. Right. I want to learn the guitar, but I want to be Eddie Van Halen
I think
now.
It's because, it probably isn't solely this, but I think a lot of it probably has to do with you can right now be an expert in a lot of things instantaneously.
Yeah.
Right? So Instagram. Oh, you want to be an expert photo editor? Well, you can at least feel like one because of the filters, right? So boom, filters on, 1 second, you're an expert. Your photo looks great.
Right.
And that's just an example for the wider array of apps that are available to make you feel like you're more efficient in something than you are.
Right.
But because of that, I think it's daunting and jarring for people when they, hit a wall and they're like, wait a second, I'm sore. What do you mean? Like, I thought I could just become in shape instantly.
Right.
Why am I sore?
Right.
Why am I not seeing the gains that I want to see? Why haven't I lost 10 pounds yet? Right. And it's like, well, because not everything in life is like that.
Most legitimate things that you have to accomplish are hard to do.
Everything takes hard work. Everything, there's a quote from Scrubs, the show.
Oh.
Yeah.
That philosophical one?
Yeah. Dr. Kelso, there's an episode, and I don't remember exactly what the episode was, but he says, everything that's worth having in life is difficult. Like, everything that's worth having, like,
I've heard that quote before.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a, take on a quote that I'm sure somebody's said before. But it's really true. And when you really think about, like, all of the things that are valuable, like truly valuable in life, it's not something that you just hit the filter and you got it.
Well, think about when you do something that's super easy. Like when I'm trying to think of like what's like a really, I can't because it's not significant to me. That's why I can't think of it. Is because things that become easy to you, they don't have any real significance. It's like, oh yeah, you do it. Right. Things that are super hard that you accomplish, you're like, every time you do something like that, every time I leave a jiu-jitsu class, that's a hard thing to do. Yeah. Every time I leave a class, I feel super accomplished. I walk out of the gym like, fuck yeah, I just did that. Every single time. And you can go 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and I guarantee you feel like that every time you leave that class.
But I think that's why a lot of people are, sad at this point in time, is that there's like an illusion that you're accomplishing things. It's like, oh, I just posted a photo and it got 50 likes. I accomplished something.
Well, there's also an aversion. There's an aversion to challenge too. People don't want to take challenges on. They want things to be easy.
Right. There's an aversion to challenge. They want everything to be easy because of these technologies. But also the technologies are giving them an illusion of like, oh, I've reached a threshold. I've bettered myself. Like, oh, I just made an Instagram account. Last week I was only getting 10 likes on my photos. Right. This week's I'm getting 30s. What an accomplishment.
Right.
It's like, wait a second.
Hold on.
Is that an accomplishment?
Did you really work for that?
In some contexts it could be, like if you're trying to grow a business or something and whatever, but for the most part.
Through certain lenses it could be an accomplishment.
For the most part, that's not and I think the problem with that is you're told that is an accomplishment. Your like ratio, whatever, your follow ratio, like, oh, I have 900 followers, but I only follow 200 people. Wow, that's great. And it's like, you're told that that's an accomplishment, but the reason that you don't get that same satisfaction is because in reality, it doesn't have the same effect as like, oh, I've been going to the gym for 3 months and I just finally lost 5 pounds.
Right.
God, there's something about having to put the work in that I think is crucial to a sense of accomplishment. I just don't think that it's readily available
because you're bettering yourself. You're bettering yourself, and if you're not bettering yourself, I think that is one thing that you can't trick your mind. No matter how hard you try, you can't trick your mind into thinking that you're bettering yourself with something.
But here's the thing: I think you do trick your mind, but you don't realize that trick is what's making you upset. I think you're like, well, I don't understand. I did this, but I still feel so empty. Right. So like
but that's what I'm saying is your mind is
it's confused.
Even though you might say like, oh, I'm accomplished, in the back of your head, you're like, fuck, I'm still not like.
Yeah.
It's like having like a ton of money too, right? It's like, fuck yeah, I just bought that yacht. Fuck yeah, I just bought that huge house.
Right.
But shit, I still don't feel right. It's
right.
like, well, maybe you worked really hard for that money. I don't know, but getting those things wasn't a hard thing for you.
Right.
That wasn't the act of purchasing that wasn't a hard thing.
Right.
But doing something like going to the gym and really like setting a goal of this month I'm going to lose 5 pounds. And you check the weight at the end of the month and you see I went down from, 200 to 195. Holy hell, that is going to make you feel so goddamn good. Like if you've never felt that feeling before, if you've never gone to the gym, I challenge you, try that. Go. Yeah. Like really see what it's like to put work in for something and have it turn out your way. It's a cool feeling.
And we're focusing a lot on, getting in shape, but it really applies to
goes for anything.
It really applies to any sort of resolution. What's another sort of I don't want this to be a whole show about
generic
athletics,
resolutions. Oh, well, yeah.
But like, what's another resolution that a lot of people do? Like saving money. Like saving money's a big one.
Yeah, or like learning a new. Yeah, saving money is a huge one.
Yeah, like I'm gonna put away money in 2019.
I'm gonna learn something new. I'm gonna be cleaner.
It's so funny how like the common thread through all of them really is like that incremental move towards a goal. Like I feel like if you want your New Year's resolution to succeed, set your goal in next December. Like I'll get that goal
by next December. Yeah. Right, I will have this done. About it.
Not like, okay, but this year I want to put away $3,000. Right. All right. Well, how much money am I making? Let me make an Excel sheet and map it out to next September or next December and see how much money I need to be putting away every month from now until then, based on my income.
You really got to sit down.
It a lot easier.
You got to plan.
Right.
It's not something that like you can just go into January and be like, well, I'm going to change this. It's not going to happen if you do that. You really got to like set your sights on, like we've been talking about, small incremental goals and write it out, map it out,
right.
And have it somewhere that you can see it every morning when you wake up. Like it's right in front of your face. Like, oh shit. Yeah.
I also kind of feel like people should break away from these like stereotypical goals. Cause I feel like these stereotypical goals, like they don't deserve a new year to start. Like they're so easy that you can start them at any time. It's like, I want to get in shape. All right, get a gym membership. Don't wait for the new year. I want to put money away. Start putting money away. No, I want to learn something new. Learn something new.
I want to quit smoking.
I feel like for like the event of the new year, like the big new year, like it should be something like challenge yourself, like really challenge yourself. Like it should be something like monumental that you're working towards. But I don't know what that would be.
I think we don't know what it could be because it's different for everyone. For someone that goes to the gym every day, the biggest challenge for them is not going to be to go to the gym.
Right.
The biggest challenge for them might be to, maybe they want to learn physics.
Right. Well, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, oh, in 2019, I want to try to learn a new language.
Right.
That's like a big goal.
That's a huge goal. Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't fall under those like stereotypical categories.
Right, but then maybe there's someone that knows 5 languages that is also 250 pounds and wants to lose, shed a few.
It's all relative.
Yeah, it is.
It's all relative.
And it does. I don't think it matters what it is, as long as it's something.
I wonder why those stereotypical set of goals exist, though. I feel like it falls very in line with like the culture we were brought up in. It's being in shape, having money, being smart. It's like.
But
all
it
these
says something that
things.
it's always a goal, because even though it's brought up in our culture that that's what we aspire to,
Very few people
people
actually have all those baskets filled.
right.
If it's even possible to have all of them filled. I feel like the point of our culture on some level is to keep one of those baskets always needing and to some degree.
I mean, one could argue that you wouldn't, if you had all of the baskets filled, you wouldn't really be growing.
Well,
but
I just don't think that it's possible.
No, I mean, you'd be a
accomplishment
perfect human,
right.
or a quote
Right.
perfect human. It's not possible.
Yeah.
What New Year's resolutions do you have, Grant?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about it. I haven't really thought about it.
You got a plan, Grant? You got a plan.
I know. I got to be incremental. I got to be specific and incremental. Let me think for a sec. I think I would like to. I think that my 2019 resolution is to continue. This is going to sound like not much of like a resolution, but I personally feel like it is to continue doing what I've been doing, because I feel like at the rate I've been going, the percent, like the chance of burning out is really high.
Mm-hmm.
And in like a degree that's kind of worrisome, and like, oh man, like how much longer can I keep this up until things start to let up a little bit,
So I think the goal should then be
The goal is just to like sustain myself
to not burn out.
Yeah, to not burn out.
But see, now that's an interesting one, because I think the goal then could also, into small incremental things, is when I feel overwhelmed, take a break. That's your goal.
Right. So figuring out ways to manage my time better, or like figure out ways to like mitigate stress and stuff, like, or figure out little pockets of time to invest in the other things I want to be doing that might not be happening on a weekly basis, like producing a new song or something like that. There we go. Okay, so there we go. We just figured it out. My New Year's resolution is going to be to figure out the best way to navigate my schedule. And what I mean by that is the navigation includes taking a little bit more time for myself, finding new strategies to de-stress so I don't get burnt out, finding the pockets of time to invest into other things that might be falling to the wayside. So that's my New Year's
falling
resolution.
off the screen again, like I did last episode.
Are you?
I just looked and I was like, oh my god, I'm starting to drift off to the side of the screen.
Don't do
Sorry,
that.
but no, that's a great.
Right. So that's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my best to make myself as compatible to my schedule as possible. And I don't know. That's probably just gonna be a trial and error kind of thing. But it's gonna be an experience thing. Like I'm gonna have to feel it out and figure out what works in that way.
One thing you said that I think everyone can, no matter what your goal is, I think everyone's goal has this in common. Although maybe not. Maybe for like a family man or something, it's not this, or family woman or whatever. Like if you have a family that you're caring for.
Yeah.
But investing more time in yourself.
I even think if you have a family, you can do that. I don't think
you can, but maybe your goal is I want to spend more time with the family.
Yeah, right. But even then, I still think that actually, you know what? I think that could be equated to spending more time with yourself, because I think it's self-fulfilling to spend time with your family.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? So
Fair.
I think that could even itself out. But yeah, I think everybody needs that.
Yep.
Everyone needs to take themselves on a date once a week, you know?
Yep.
Like
whatever that means to you.
Yeah,
Whether that means going to the movies.
I know I do this, but one thing I do probably once a week is go for a walk at night.
Yeah,
I'll
you
just
do.
leave and like take my keys and check out for like 45 minutes or an hour, and I'll just either put my headphones in, listen to some music, or not, just go for a walk. And for me, that is like
It's freeing.
very valuable.
Yep.
It's really valuable for me.
You got to get out of your head too, and also get out of the house and
Get out of the house, get out of my head, get away from all the work, put it down, leave it on the desk.
And that's a step right there to your New Year's resolution of
continue to just stay with that, stick with that.
Yeah.
When I think about what I just said and how I want to accomplish it, I feel like I really need to write it down. Like I need to sit down and like break out my notebook and be like, okay, here's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this week. I'm going to do that week. And
I've noticed my morning journal has literally just become that. Like recently, because I've been thinking about like things that I want to do, especially since we've been talking about Sober January and everything. It's like really been on my mind of like things that I really want to accomplish, this next year. And my morning journal has literally just turned into me like being like, well, like if I do this and if I do this way, and then if I can move this here and I can do that, then I can get to jiu-jitsu 4 times.
I feel like then you tie yourself in another knot though.
You do.
Oddly, it's like you over prep yourself.
I do that for sure. Yeah. I can't tell you, there's probably like 20 pages, not like recently, but over the years, there's probably like 20 pages of me like trying to map out my life. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if anyone else does that, but I literally will try and like write out my life, being like, I'm going to do this day of the week, and then this is going to happen. And like, it's romantic to like look at and be like, wow, my life's going to be so great.
I just do these steps. It's
right.
all going to fall into place.
But it's like kind of what we were talking about earlier of like planning in this big fashion for this huge event of things to all upheave and change all at one time. And in reality, what's going to happen is it's all just going to come crashing down because you're not taking the incremental steps to do it.
Yeah. So maybe it's like, okay, you're planning out your life. You have for example, you're like, if I do these 10 things, I'll be in good shape. Eliminate 9 of them and just make one of them what you're going to focus on for at least like the near future.
Well, they say, I remember, I don't know how true this is or how valid it is. But I remember when I was doing like a habit tracking app, and the statistic that it had was, it takes, I think 45 days of consistent.
I think that's correct.
45 days of a habit to happen for it to become consistent. And then you can make a new habit.
Actually change your brain. You'll
yes.
carve a path in your brain and it will become a habit.
Where instead of becoming resistant to doing the habit, you'll become resistant to not doing the habit.
But then you need to focus on like, I think that it's too daunting to do any more than one habit in that time period. I feel like it's 45 days. I'm going to start a new habit. I'm going to do this habit.
Well, that's what it says. It says for the first 45 days, stick to this one thing. And then after 45 days, start something new. And you can kind of build.
So let's do a little math, Keith.
365 divided by 45.
45. Let's see what that comes out to.
It's about.
This is an exclusive.
It's about
on 20 somethings. Nobody else has these numbers.
It's about 7. A little bit less than 7. 6 point something?
It's 8.1.
8.1.
So in a year, you don't want to.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
In a year, I guess neurologically, your brain cannot necessarily handle developing more than 8 habits within a year. But that's 8 new habits you can learn.
But let's stick to like 6, I'd say. I feel like 8.
That's one every 2 months.
Right. I feel like 8 is a lot. I feel like most people like. Let's be realistic here. Like, I'm thinking of 45 days. If I did something consistently for 45 days, yeah, maybe I will like have an affliction to wanting to do it over and over again. But if I keep adding this new thing, something's gonna get lost along the way. Yeah. I feel like every 2 months, if you could do something new every 2 months and keep the ones that you had before, and in a year you're gonna have 6 new positive things that you're doing in your life. Your whole life's gonna change in a year.
Yeah.
Like your whole life has. Think about. The idea of what we were just talking about before in terms of going to the gym. That's just one. Yeah. Now add 5 more on top of that. Okay, I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to eat healthy. Whoa. Hold on. You're a totally different person in 2019 than you were in 2018.
Right, and that's how the New Year's resolution actually becomes something substantial.
Right.
That's when it becomes meaningful. It's like, oh, wait, I can reflect on last year and I am somebody new now. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just different. I've changed.
It's a cool feeling too.
It is a cool feeling
when you actually like we talked about when you accomplish something and when you really hit that goal.
It's like I know everybody has habits, right? I don't even know like what I would classify my habits as now.
Like good habits or bad habits?
Just habits in general, but I guess I was thinking more of good habits. Of like, I don't really think I have routine.
That's habit.
But yeah, for me, routine is more like forcive. Like. For me, routine is like, I have to do this. Habits for me are more opting in. Like, I want to do the habit. These are things that I want to be doing for myself. Whereas routine is more like, these are just.
You're thinking of positive habits, though, because we have negative habits that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking of just something that I do. One of my bad habits I chew my nails. Pick my nails.
I eat my fingers.
I eat my fingers, yeah. No, but I chew my nails, and that's like a bad habit.
Yeah.
So I can't. Anyway, I don't even know what we were talking about because of that, but I chew my nails. That's a bad thing for me to do, and
right. So there are bad habits.
Yeah, and you don't. I don't know. I don't want to think of habit as like a thing that's
solely good for
that's
you.
right. That's solely a good thing because we can, kicking something is just as beneficial as adding something new.
That's true.
That's
a good point.
A lot of people smoke. I know people in my family that smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Right.
Can you imagine what the habit of just cutting down to 1 pack a day would do?
Right.
And that's a lofty goal for some people, but that's also a habit.
Right.
It's not just something that they want to do or that they have to think about doing. Like, oh, I got to think about doing my habit. No, habit means that I'm doing this because this is my routine.
Yeah.
My routine is to wake up, have a cup of coffee, and go outside and smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, the whole New Year's thing, it's either you're kicking something or you're starting something.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of the 2 options you have. It's never like what I just said, like I'm just going to stay the same.
Right.
It's never like a third option. Although
I mean, some people
but if you're happy with your life, I guess that works too.
Yeah, but I think we can all always make some sort of, even if it's minute, some sort of improvement. I
agree.
And no one's perfect, and we all can, I guess if you're a super,
go as far to say that if somebody is saying that they're perfectly content, they don't want to improve on anything, that they're just lacking self-awareness.
Yeah.
I guarantee if you ask someone in that person's life like what they could improve on, they'd have a list.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure,
yeah,
for sure. And I mean, there's a lot of people like that though. There's a lot of people that just have no self-awareness.
Yeah.
They think that they're, high and mighty, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, I've never really been a big fan of New Year's resolutions.
Me neither. I think because I can never stick to them.
It's not even personal for me. I was just gonna say it's because people never stick to them, so
right.
I just assume that they're bullshit. And my take on them, it has always been like, if you're gonna do a New Year's one, just start right now.
Well,
and it's like.
Another thing too is there's no real accountability, right? Like you never go up.
That's why it's cool. Like what we're doing as a group. It's like, oh, we can all text each other and communicate with each other and stay on each other's.
Dude,
back.
I really wanted to have a drink today, but you know what I said? Fuck it. Like
to
everyone
be honest,
was having
I'll
beers.
Feel like a complete douchebag if I do something out of line when I know you guys are trying to
That's
go towards
huge.
the same goal as I am.
That's huge because if you're doing it by yourself, it's like. It's very, very easy to just be like, yeah, I'll sneak it.
And I feel like it wouldn't be that hard for most people to find somebody like working out more. The most common New Year's resolution.
Find a gym buddy.
You could find somebody in your life that wants the same thing.
Yep.
Everybody, most people could work out a little bit more. And you find somebody to do it with you. That accountability thing's huge with accomplishing anything. That's why it's so hard to get shit done that you're working on by yourself. Like when you're working on your script or I'm working on my own writing, it's like, how do I fucking sit down and do this when I have no, monetary pressure or social pressure from
right?
Nobody's
telling me I need to do this by any sort of time.
That's why Soundpollination works. That's why this company works because the episodes get done because I know if they don't get done, nobody gets their episodes up. So I gotta get it. I don't want to disappoint anybody.
Right.
Accountability is huge and it's valuable.
Yep.
But it's valuable, but it's also hard to get. It's hard to get authentic accountability going.
And authentic, this is that's a really good point. Authentic accountability, because it's easy to get into something with someone, but if you're not really close with that person, or if you're just super lax with them, they're your buddy, and he falls off, you're just gonna be oh man, that's all right.
Why I feel like this podcast with you and I, who are really good friends and we've been living together forever, I feel like the reason why it really works is because there's other people that are counting on us to do this.
Yeah,
I feel like if it was just you and me doing it each week, I think we would have fallen off by now.
Right. But we shouldn't though. Because
I know we shouldn't. I'm just saying, when it's too lax, when the relationship's too lax, the accountability isn't quite there.
You gotta kind of be an accountable asshole.
More detached. There either needs to be.
You gotta be an asshole a little bit. You gotta kind of be. You really do though. You gotta be You gotta be
No,
did you go to the gym
asshole.
today?
You don't have to be an asshole. You have to be neutral. You don't intimacy is not involved. Right. In that, we're good friends, so I'm gonna let this one slide.
Right.
That has to mute that part and just stay on top of like, oh, what efficiency? Efficiency comes first.
Run it like a business almost.
Right.
Like no, you're not allowed to miss the gym today. You need to go.
Yeah.
Like, and it might come off as like an asshole-ish thing, but you're not really being an asshole.
Yeah.
You're really being a good person.
Right.
You're pushing them towards their positive goal that they want. They're just having a little, they're having a little kick.
Which goes back to what we've talked about so many times in this podcast of like people need to get more comfortable with just like having that kind of voice in their life.
Yeah.
That kind of voice of like, well, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you shouldn't eat the last Twinkie. Maybe you should, instead of chilling out and watching Netflix, go out and run a mile.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think enough people have that. And I don't think enough people have that because, to be completely honest, I feel like we're living in an age where it's like having that voice, like you're automatically labeled as offensive, even if you mean well.
Well, it's too hard. It's far.
But it's not even hard.
No.
Like that's what I'm saying. Is like a voice who's like, well, maybe you should have done that 2 days ago. That's not harsh. That's just realistic.
Right.
That's just like, a decent advice.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
people take it
Like,
so.
you're telling me that I should have. So you're telling me I'm fat?
Right.
So, no, I'm just telling you that
You're
you
telling me
wanted
I'm
to
not
get.
good at my job.
You wanted to get healthier, and I'm telling you that you should have gone to the gym.
Right.
Like it's A equals if X equals Y and Y equals Z, then X equals Z. You need to go to the gym if you want to get healthier.
Right.
But people you're right.
Yeah.
People do get very offended.
I think that
now.
I think what we're talking about right now is huge for anybody that's listening that is wanting to accomplish something in New Year's. Truly, find somebody that you trust to like be on your case.
Yeah.
About it.
I mean, look what we're modeling Sober January off of, right? I mean, if you haven't noticed already, our podcast is very much like the Joe Rogan Experience, right? And they did a contest. They've now done it for 2 years in a row called Sober October. You look at someone like Tom Segura and what he looked like before he did the first Sober October. He was a big dude. He was unhealthy. He wasn't in the best of shape. He did Sober October, and I'm sure that guy has tried going to the gym multiple times.
Yeah.
He's tried really getting in shape multiple times. Same thing with Bert Kreischer. Bert Kreischer ran a marathon. Bert Kreischer has probably tried to get in shape multiple times by himself. But then it was like, a month into the gym membership, it was like, no one's pushing me. The adrenaline pump of me going for the first month has fallen off. Now I'm done.
Right.
But now I have a month of me and this person competing against each other. Like literally competition. That's why competition is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. And we're competing against each other for this ultimate goal of like who can get in the best shape.
Yeah.
And now look at Tom Segura.
Great.
He looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Because he had someone pushing him there. I will bet you anything that if they didn't do that, he wouldn't be anywhere near in the shape that he's in now.
You need some sort of actual like concrete pressure.
Right.
You need
push.
pressure.
You need a push.
That's why. I think that's why it's easy for people to push themselves professionally because that pressure is like automatically there. It's like, well, if I work a lot. Not for every job. For a lot of jobs, if I work a lot, maybe I'll get a promotion. Maybe I'll make more money. There's some sort of pressure to do so where it's like it doesn't really exist for personal goals.
Mm-hmm.
That pressure is really hard to conjure that sort of like pressure. Even if it's an illusion, even if the stakes aren't that high, I still think that like psychologically you can trick yourself into thinking that they are.
Yeah.
Like, for January, what we're about to do, it's like, if I have a glass of wine on January 13th, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
But psychologically, I've gotten myself into the place where like, oh man, I'm a douchebag because my two friends are doing this thing with me and I just, fucked it up.
Right. And maybe for the first month, that is the thing in the back of your head that causes you to, get mad at yourself or whatever. But after that month, like we said, it takes 45 days, right? So if you continue for a little bit longer, after that month,
maybe we need to extend this to 45 days.
Maybe it needs to be a month and a half sort of thing. But after that, 45 days, the pressure isn't going to be from, oh, my friends are counting on me to do this with them. It'll be on yourself. It's like, are you fucking asshole? You did this for so long and you let yourself down now?
Yeah.
50 days in, you let yourself down now?
And you if you've ever started something up, you see that happen.
Oh, dude.
Evidently. I mean, good and bad. Like 45 days of, I've done it running every day.
Mm-hmm.
you feel that. You feel that. And obviously I didn't like think of it as concretely as you just said. I wasn't like, oh, it's been 45 days, like now I gotta run.
Right.
But I felt that, my body. I was like, time to run.
Right.
And it's just like, oh, this is that time of day.
Well, like I said before, it's like in the first 45 days, it's you have an aversion to do that thing, right? Like there's everything in your head telling you don't go to the gym, you don't have to play a video game, you don't have to eat this, you don't have to. After that 45 days, it might not be 45 days for everyone. I'm not setting a concrete threshold here, but that kind of flips where it's now an aversion to not doing that thing. It's like if after that 45 days it becomes 8 p.m. and I haven't gone to the gym yet, it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you gonna miss? Right? I see it in my dad. My dad has been going to the gym or working out in some fashion.
I see it in my brother too.
Every day since he was like 20.
Yeah.
Every single day he does something. And when I'm home and he misses a day,
throws him off.
Oh, throws him off far more than I've ever seen anyone thrown off in anything.
Yeah. Was that healthy though?
No, but I mean, we can't all be 100% healthy all the time, right? In everything. I think I would rather him be mad at himself for not going to the gym
Not going in general.
than just not going in general.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Valid.
Exactly. Good on you that this is such a big part of you, staying in shape and staying healthy, that it really pisses you off when you don't go.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been talking about. That is that sort of self-accountability,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people lack. I know I lack it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yep, me too.
It's
something that everyone needs to work on. It's a muscle. If you don't exercise it,
honestly,
it's going to go away.
To yourself. When you feel guilty, listen to yourself. That part of you is telling you something.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like when you start to feel guilty, I feel like one thing I'll do is I'll try to drown it out.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Well, I'll distract myself. Maybe I'll turn on a show or I'll start working on something else. I don't know. But really, if you leaned into it, if you were like, let me see what this is actually telling me. What is this guilt guiding me towards?
Right.
You would find that it's generally positive. I feel like you feel guilty. When you feel guilty about not doing something, it's because what you want to be doing, on some level is generally positive.
Right.
You're letting other things get in the way of that.
Isn't that so interesting that we do that? Is that our brains literally tell us that we want to do this thing, and then we actually oppose doing it instead of just doing it?
Some things are easier than others. I think it's as simple as that. I think that.
Do you ever have that happen though, where it's like your brain is telling I want to go make music, and you're like, but I'd rather just lie here. It happens all.
I have it with a million different things that
Yep.
I want to do. I mean, I can't exactly say why it happens, but
it's frustrating when it's happening too.
It is.
It's really frustrating when it's happening because you hear the voices in your head. I mean, it's really real.
Yeah.
It's like fuck. It's a weird thing that we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's just a self-discipline thing.
Like instead, I feel like the general response to that kind of voice, to that kind of pressure, is to avoid it, to numb it, and to push it away.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of that, lean into it and listen to it.
Yep.
And you might,
and
find
accept
yourself
it.
actually listening to it
Right.
instead of.
There's a reason.
And then when you listen to it, when you listen to the guilt, it goes away.
Yeah.
Because you're going to probably abide by what it's pushing you towards.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a reason the voice is there.
Right.
This isn't happening for no reason. Your brain
guilt
isn't.
serves a function. Guilt tells you the reason why the emotion of guilt exists is because it lets you know when you're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's what guilt is in any situation.
Right. Whether it's moralistically
I'm cheating
wrong
on my partner.
Right.
I feel guilty. That's because you've been brought up to be culturally, conditioned to think that is wrong. So you feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same way, it's like, oh, I should go to the gym. Yeah, well, I went yesterday.
Right.
I'm just gonna lay on the couch. Well, I kind of feel like shit now. I feel guilty. Well, it's because you kind of fucked up.
Yep.
You should you're not doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
In any situation, that's why guilt arises. That's the purpose of it. Guilt wouldn't exist if we didn't need something to tell us what was right or wrong.
Right.
It's like our own moral compass.
Guilt right.
Is like
whether it's from an external
us.
source or whether it's from an internal source, there's a reason why we feel bad for either doing something or not doing something.
Yeah.
And we do have to lean into it and listen to it.
This could very well be the quote from this podcast, but
lay it on me, Craw.
use guilt to your advantage. Like, utilize guilt as a tool to push yourself. Use guilt as like a signal. Like, when I start to feel guilty, that's a sign. That's the flashing light that, like, what am I doing right now? And what could I be doing?
You know what's interesting is, when I was a kid and we were in martial arts class, there's this thing called the horse dance, right? And it's a very traditional martial arts thing. But you sit, it's kind of like you're sitting in a chair, almost like a yoga pose, right? So imagine, and your legs are kind of more spread apart. It looks like you're sitting on a horse. And sometimes, like, and does not happen, although we do it with our kids. You would sit in this stance, and sometimes you'd be there because it's in like forms and whatever, and like forms are like kind of like martial arts combinations of moves and whatever. And sometimes you could sit there for like 20 minutes. Yeah. You know, and your legs would be fucking shaking. Yeah. Like I'm talking like kids would collapse. You know, and if that happened, more time would be added onto the clock. And it's kind of this like, I'm not gonna stand up because I know if I do, everyone else is gonna have to suffer here, and I'm gonna have to suffer here more, or suffer as well. You know, but everyone is going to have to suffer because of me. And the sensei, and I've seen a ton of martial arts classes, the sensei will always be like, you know, everyone say thank you to Greg. Right. You know, Greg stood up. I'll say thank you.
When I played football when I was younger, it was the same thing.
It happens in all sports, you know, and I relate it to martial arts because it's just what I grew up under. But it's it's a really great thing for kids, although, you know, like I said, it's a muscle. So if you don't exercise that sort of self-awareness and self-discipline throughout your life, even if, you know, you practice it in a sport forever, it's going to go away by the time you're an adult.
Well, what that's making me think of is, like, is there a way that even if you don't have, like, a direct sort of source of accountability, like, let's say you don't have the gym partner. Well, okay. I know if I go to the gym, I'm going to be in a better mood. If I'm in a better mood, then my wife is going to be happier, or my coworkers are going to be happier. If I go to the gym, I know I'm more efficient. My blood's flowing, I'll be more efficient. Then I'll do better at my job. That makes my coworkers' jobs more easy.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Right. That's a good point. It's like, so in a way, whenever you're doing something better, whenever you're putting some sort of positivity into yourself, it sort of automatically channels out to a
other
larger
people.
Group.
That's really funny that you say that. My meditation app Headspace will always, in the middle of the meditation, will always say, and think about, you know, not only what are you doing this for you, or why are you doing this for you? Why are you doing this for other people? How is this going to affect other people in your life? Right. Think about that.
But so rarely, you're never doing it for other people. There's no, but why are you doing it for other people? But there is always an effect on other people.
Yes, how is it affecting other people?
Right.
Exactly.
In everything you do.
It does. It no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, everything you do is going to affect someone else. So be aware of that when you are taking action.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, it's come something as simple as smoking cigarettes. You know, I don't like that my mom smokes cigarettes.
Yeah.
I don't like that she smokes cigarettes. Maybe she doesn't realize that of course she realizes that I don't.
Actually, it's funny you say that, because a family member of mine, just over the holidays, she was brought to the emergency room, and they found something on her lungs. I don't know exactly.
Damn.
The first thing that the doctor said was, when did you stop smoking? She's like, I've never smoked. And then a second doctor came in, and it was for like some sort of different checkup. And when did you stop smoking? Oh, I've never smoked.
Wow, secondhand smoke.
Her husband smoked until the day he died. And so these things on her lungs, I think they're whatever. I don't know what I don't want to say what they're not, but something is on her lungs, and it's a direct result of smoking, and it's from secondhand smoke.
Wow.
So that is a really good analogy. In anything that you do, there's a secondhand smoke. Now, that secondhand smoke for the action that you're doing could be like that. It could be negative, or the secondhand smoke, paying it forward.
It could be positive. Yep.
And that's totally dependent on how you want to go about it and what you want to be doing with your time. But that's definitely a thing. But that if you want to have a concrete image like that of like how you put something into the world, there you go.
Right.
You know, your actions matter.
Right. So I guess, when everyone's, January 1st comes and you're going to start eating healthier, think about how eating healthier is going to affect.
Even if it's like you're eating healthier and you're posting a photo on Instagram before and after, and somebody sees that and they're like, damn, they just did that. Now I can do that. You know, like you can influence somebody to do that.
Well, look, I mean, yeah, social media for sure, but look at parents that make the decision to eat healthier. Now your kids are eating healthier.
Right.
You know? Or like kids and the vice versa. Kids that decide to eat healthier. My sister decided to eat healthier, and it got my mom to change her diet a little bit.
There you go.
You know, it all has a chain
yep.
effect, a domino effect.
Yep.
What you do affects other people, and I think if we all challenge ourselves this New Year's to do something more positive or to cut out the negative, that chain effect is gonna. I mean, it's just gonna glow.
Yeah.
It's gonna glow. It's kind of like the 6 degrees of separation, where everything is just gonna keep affecting other people, and everyone's gonna get uplifted by everyone's positiveness. You know, we all need to. I think we can make a new meaning for New Year's resolutions if we look at it through that lens rather than through the lens of bettering yourself. How can I better myself to better everyone?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's an excellent way to motivate you to do something.
Yep.
One more thing, something that I also want to touch on before we end the show is one thing that I see a lot around this time is a lot of people are like, oh, thank God 2018's over. Worst year ever.
Right. I can't wait for 29 to see what it has in store.
Let me just say that for the past
2019 is a person, by the way, that's gonna it has something in store for you. It's
there's that, but it's also like every single year I see the same group of people or maybe new people saying worst year ever, can't wait for next year. I hate that because
Me too.
I think when you generalize 365 days into being the worst,
right,
it's like, come on. You're doing a disservice to yourself because you're saying out of all of those minutes, out of all those seconds, those days, that those were all the worst for you. Highly doubtful.
Right.
I highly believe that in that time, if you really looked at it, you could find some very beautiful moments that you should cherish. And there's just like, there's no such thing as like a worse year or a best year. It's like everything's constantly going to be shifting. Every day, every minute, everything is shifting. So don't take this chunk of time and just like throw it under the bus. Like,
right.
Think 2018's over. Now I can forget about it. Why?
Right.
If you faced hard things in 2018, look at those and use them to propel yourself forward.
Right.
All right. 2018's over. Thank God. Well, whatever happened to you for you saying that, you're still here and you're breathing, you know?
Right.
So whatever animosity that you faced it. So maybe thank 2018 for making you a more solid character, you know? Instead of being like, oh, fuck that. Here comes 2019. Things are about to change. It's like, no, actually, chances are 2018 was difficult. 2019 will probably be just as difficult, if not more difficult, but probably just as difficult because life's really fucking hard all the time.
Right.
But in those difficult moments, don't dismiss it and constantly look for the future. Embrace it. Lean into it and tell yourself, like, okay, I'm going to get through this. And when I do, I can reflect on that and see what I learned from that difficult situation.
Right. There's something to be said for there's something to be said for putting the positive out into the world, you know, and although I don't like it when people do this, people that people that will post like everything that they've accomplished in in this year.
Well, you don't need to do that either.
You don't need to do that. That's the
Please
extreme. That's the other extreme end, right?
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about like, you know what? I am going to look at everything that went right for me this year. You know, I'm going to look at everything.
I think it's just full acceptance. I think it's like
acceptance of the good and the bad.
Right. Don't categorize it of like, well, you know, things have been going really well for me. Like, just like literally just look at it as a segment of time. And it's like, these good things happen, these bad things happen, they'll continue to happen. And you know what? I've experienced it all. Right. And I've taken away something from all of it. Right. Every single individual event, whether I realize it now or I'll realize it in 10 years from now, that has constructed me in some way for the sole fact that I've encountered it. Regardless of whatever it is, you got to experience it. Right. It was, you know, and be grateful for that. Be grateful that you got to experience these things. I don't know. There's just something so like petty about the people that are like, well, it just like what you just said, you know,
there are so many points in my life, in everyone's life, where you could have looked at like the horrible thing, the girlfriend that broke up with you, the girlfriend that cheated on you, you know, this job that you lost, and you could look at that year and be like, wow, that was the worst year ever. But I know for a fact, and I know you do too, that I learned some of my most valuable lessons 5 years down the line after those things happened.
Yep.
You know, like I could have looked at 2013 or 2014 and been like, that year fucking sucked. And I did for like 2 years. And then I was like, actually, 2013 didn't suck. I learned a lot in that year.
It was valuable.
It was very, very valuable. It took me time to realize that, but it was an experience that made me who I am today. And for better or worse, that's, you know, I'm on my Keith trajectory. Yeah, you can't change it.
That. So in essence, everything is valuable.
Yep.
Every day of every year is valuable. So cut it out with the fucking Trump did this in 2018. Like enough.
Right.
Enough, people.
Right. We all don't like it, but
knock it off. Yeah. There's a bunch of shit going on. We know.
Right.
We're aware.
Right.
But guess what? Are you breathing? Are you still going to be breathing in 2019? Hope so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not all that bad.
Right.
And everything that's going on in the world, all of the news that you read, it's going to build towards something. You know, one thing, and I've had this conversation with many people, you know, because a lot of people are like, a lot of the reason for dismissing the previous year is because, you know, well, everything in the world is shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going bad. I turn on the news every day and it's just more bad news and I can't handle it. It just seems like everything's going to shit. Okay, well, there's two ways you can look at it. You know, you can either look at it as one, like, well, everything's going to shit, so I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to say, see you later this year and see you later everything that's going to happen. I'm just going to check out. Or you can say, you know, this is all going bad. Things have gone bad throughout the entirety of human history.
Yep.
And every time things have gone bad throughout the entirety of human history, we have eventually gotten to a point that we've learned from it.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a consistent pattern.
Yep.
We are able to reflect on history and we are able to take that and move forward and make the necessary adjustments to whatever is happening to build a better society.
Yep.
So say what you will. I'm actually quite excited that a lot of these horrible and engaging topics are surfacing right now.
Yep.
In a way that they've never surfaced before. Because, listen up, they would have surfaced eventually. If they hadn't surfaced yet, they were still there and they were just hidden.
They're underlying, yeah.
And so
it's
now
glad
here they are. Everyone's talking about them. They're out in the open.
We're hashing
Let's
it out.
take it. Let's look at it. Let's really look at it.
Right.
And say, where do we want to bring this?
Right.
How do we want to solve this?
Right.
What do we want 2025 to be like?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so stop dismissing the year. Stop pretending like everything's going to shit. And if you feel like it's going to shit, just analyze it and say, okay, let's make this better.
Right.
How do we take this shitty situation? What is the solution? It's not complaining about it. It's not dismissiveness.
It's small scale improvements.
Right.
I really, honestly,
on
and I think it can be
level
applied,
or the mass scale.
It can be applied to anything. And we had that podcast with the girls from the coffee with the politicians podcast, the video show that they do.
Candidates and Coffee.
Candidates and Coffee, yeah. And you know, they interview people on the local level. I'm sorry guys for totally not remembering the name of your show, but they interview people on the local and the state level, right?
Yeah.
And they're so for improving things on that level. And there's a reason for that because you're going to see that change.
Right.
You know, that's something that you can do. Those are small incremental goals. Don't say, let's impeach Trump. That's a fucking lofty goal.
Yeah.
Okay? That's something that if that fails, you don't want to be miserable if that fails because there's a high likelihood that you ain't going to impeach him.
Right.
Okay? But what you could do is go to the local and state level and try and change things in there.
Right.
Change the traffic light that you sit in for 5 minutes too long.
Right.
You know, get them to change that. That little tiny thing is going to make you a little bit happier throughout every day.
It's
and
so
next thing you know, you're going to start to look at things a little bit differently.
Right.
Everything's going to be a little clearer. Everything's going to be a little brighter.
Right.
You know, and those are things that you can tangibly change and you can tangibly feel and see and touch.
Yeah.
if you shoot up for the stars of like, let's get, why isn't Bernie in office now? Let's switch. Let's
swap them out.
Let's swap them out. Like, sorry, honey, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. On an individual scale and on the on the mass scale, I think that it's all incremental. And you're saying that, and it's like, yeah, you get the stoplight fixed in your town. Now you're less frustrated on your way to work. That has a ripple effect again.
Right.
And you see how these small things that are so often dismissed as being like, that doesn't matter, that won't solve anything. It's like, well, it will. It has an impact. You are putting something out there. You are, however small or how big, there is going to be a ripple effect.
If everyone did it, there'd be a lot of ripples.
Right. What if everybody decided...
It'd be a big fucking wave.
What if there was a long-ass list of all of this local issues that need to be taken care of, and each thing on that list was assigned to somebody that lived in the community? How long would that take to get, solve everything?
Right.
A week.
It'd be bing, bang, bang. Yeah, it'd be done.
So, people just need to stop. You don't have to dive into everything. Not everything has to happen immediately. It's not all... doesn't have to all be instantaneous.
Nope.
In fact, I think that there's a lot more fulfillment in taking it step by step and recognizing that life is,
life is in small moments.
It's not just jumping from A to B. It's all about getting there.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And going moment to moment.
Yep.
All right, Grant.
Fair enough.
Well, listen, we won't see or talk to you virtually until 2019. Me and Grant, when we Happy birthday, world.
Happy birthday, Jesus.
Do you know Jesus was actually born on January 6th? That's his actual birthday, but we do it on December 25th for commercialism reasons.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's very nice, right?
Anyway. Have a good new year.
Yep.
We will see you next time on 20-something.
In 2019, babies.
All right.
Peace out, Cub Scouts.